Good afternoon, everybody. So hopefully Corey's got his mic I guess as far as well, actually live. There you go. This is Paul, and so we wanted to mix it up instead of the regular old go-to meeting, and we're going to be doing this live streaming. So we're streaming right through as far as a Google Hangout, and yeah, the screen's going to go live in a minute. I'm letting Corey fix his hair right now. He said he needed a minute to fix his hair. So hopefully you're on the screen here. But you'll be able to call in your questions, so write down that number, 1-866-503-5855. It's right on your screen. It's on there a couple times, actually. So. All right, so there we go. So we got that section fixed. All right, we got some people on a big screen TV broadcasting us, so that's awesome. Appreciate you guys. But again, as far as the phone numbers on the screen, so I definitely want you to be calling in. Monica's here. She looks a little red because the phone's already fired up. But you can tweet your questions at Potrats, and you can also hit chat. But I'd say the preferred ones is 866-503-5855, and then at Potrats. And then we'll get those questions answered. Corey, is your mic ready to go?
Of course I'm ready to go.
Awesome. All right, excellent. So
I was fixing it wasn't my hair I was fixing, it was my pocket square.
Awesome. Corey's fixing the pocket square. All right, so let me fix this real quick. And then how do I go back here? How do I come out of that screen share, Dan? I'm really technical today. Yeah. All right, there we go. All right, excellent. Corey, can you see me? You see my pocket square today?
I do. It's a little drab.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, as far as Nan said this morning, she said, Paul, are you going to a funeral? Because our family, that's the type of pocket square that we have when we're going to a funeral. And she said, did you press that yourself? And I said, of course. So anyway, let's see the pocket square, Corey. I can't see it, buddy.
Oh, we're doing a little, well, where is it? There we go. We're up.
Awesome. All right, let's go.
I was thinking of you today.
Awesome. Love that. All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate you for joining us. Today, Corey and myself, we're going to talk about closing ratios. Corey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but I don't. Oh, there we go. We're broadcasting. Okay, good.
Yeah, well, you don't want to run the broadcast at the same time because it'll be kind of crazy, repetitive on your side. So today, Corey and I, we were talking. It was recently. We were actually had our little shorts on, sitting by the pool, drinking a Mai Tai, Shirley Temple Mai Tai, of course, and hey, get the goals picture in the background there, Corey. Awesome. And you see, Corey's got a pickle. In the little pot over there in his window. He's got a little pickle in the window.
It's a cactus, thank you.
Right. So anyway, we were talking about closing ratios because we're constantly at the conferences and everything, of course. And we're always asked that question as far as how can we get our closing ratio? And guys, I hate to tell you right now, but what we're going to go through is not like, hey, if you put the kryptonite and the flux capacitor, that's going to be the closing ratio. This is going to be a little more as far as practical. It's going to go back to the basics because oftentimes we forget about the basics. And you got to build the foundation. You got to build the core. You got to work on the basics. Then you can go from there. Right, Corey?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Corey's watching the news right now too.
No, well, I'm pointing out. We talk about the basics, but it's not so much basic as it is doing things that we need to be doing progressively. I mean, there are basics that are old school that I don't want people to get back to doing. So we want to keep that in perspective. I just want to word check you there when we talk about going back to basics sometimes.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, it's true. So let's pop up a slide. Let's kind of get this really rolling and go from there. And we've got questions. We've already got questions coming in, which is awesome.
Good. Great.
And I got the paper with questions. And Monica's sitting over there. Hey, again, right on the screen, you can tweet us, you can call us. So let's get into slide one. It's already 2:38, so let's roll. I know everybody's time's important. So we're going to go into a screen share, and we're going to talk about the very first slide. And we pull that up. All right, hopefully everybody can see that. So it's at 20%. How do I make that bigger, Dan? Sorry, guys. I don't think that will do it. All right. Well, anyway, Cory, you can read it, right? You can see it on the screen?
I can see it just fine.
Oh, awesome. Okay, good. All right. This is Cory's slide. We're going to switch back and forth. That's what we're going to do. And so let's, with further ado, the man, Cory.
So just to point out, so I guess all the slides with artwork are your slides, and then the slides with no artwork are mine. Is that how we're defining them today?
Cory.
What?
Let's keep it friendly.
So one of the things I want to talk about when we created this idea of these 7 kind of steps or this 7 kind of plan was really to kind of break that down and look at what the impact is of how a closing ratio happens and kind of what are the steps that ultimately we're going after to get there. So when we think about this traditional idea of, let's just say in an internet environment, we think about this traditional idea of email, moving them to the phone, moving them to the showroom, and creating that process. So really one of the first things that I want everybody to kind of focus on and be focused on amongst the things we're going to talk about today is how we're getting the engagement or making sure that we're getting the engagement. The idea of focusing on the benefits, focusing on the reasons why a prospect would want to engage you. And again, 2 strategies for that I want to hit on here is, number 1, you have 2 options. You can focus on gain, or you can focus on loss. And these are 2 strategies that will increase your engagement based on your communication method. Because remember, there's 2 forms of communication. There's effective communication, and then there's persuasive communication. And the rule of thumb there is effective communication explains. Persuasive communication sells. So when you get that Capital One, mailer that tells you how it's going to be 0% and it's the best points program ever, and you're reading it and it's all sexy, well, that's the persuasive communication. And then when you actually get the card, there's this piece of paper that comes like accordion style and it drops down. Well, those are the effective communications. Those are the rules and regulations about the card, and if you don't pay it on time, they're going to come take your children and all this other stuff. So you have these 2 forms of communication, and what we're looking at to increase engagement, which leads to increased closing ratio, is this idea of gain or loss and being persuasive. So in the gain environment, what do I mean by that? So when I talk about gain as a function of getting engagement, what does the customer have to gain, or the what's in it for them? You've probably heard that before. So what does the consumer have to gain by calling you back or taking the next step or visiting the showroom for a price and vehicle consultation? Because we never want anybody to come on down, so I want you to take that out of your vocabulary. What do they have to gain by that? What is the benefits? Do we find that we're saving customers X amount of dollars? Is there a promotion that's going on? What's happening in that process where they're going to see gain by doing what you want them to do, which is ultimately taking action to whether convert into an appointment or ultimately a purchase? Then the second perspective on that is, what do they lose? So is it a vehicle that has limited inventory? So when you're communicating to them, do we want to get that message across that that practicality causes delay? So when they're thinking about being practical, they're thinking about all the reasons to not visit the showroom, they're thinking about all the reasons not to buy. Our ability to use loss in this example could be an accelerator. It could be color, it could be equipment, it could be availability. I'll give you a great example. Porsche just debuted yesterday or 3 days ago. Where are your sound effects? So Porsche just debuted a couple days ago at the LA Auto Show. They debuted, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but the Macan or the Macan or however they're saying it, which is the baby Cayenne, basically. So one of the guys at the area dealers here, because it's kind of one of the things I'm maybe looking at, maybe not, emails me, and it's a straight, hey, here's the link, build your car, we're taking deposits, we expect the inventory to be tight on this, get in now if you want one. So it was a straight motivator to look at my potential loss if I was interested, or the idea that, you know what, the car comes out in 3-4 months, if I don't get on this train now, allocation, all of these other things that we know about in the marketplace are going to be affected, and I'm not going to have a car. if I wanted one. So he used the loss method, and again, it made me take certain actions. I did go look. I looked at the configurator. I built the car to see what it would come out to, what it would look like. All these different factors. So I want you to start to think about what you're doing in your process now and how it helps you get more engagement. And look at how you can adjust some of your communications, whether on the phone or from an email standpoint, based around the premise of the idea of persuasive gain or persuading based on potential loss. Paul, back to you.
Sorry, Cory, I had to do that.
This tea is hot. I like applause like the next guy.
All right, cool. All right, awesome. So with that said, let's click over here and to kind of carry on, because here's my part. Oh, Starbucks. Are they paying you for that?
Product placement. I don't know. It's just fun. Okay. I want to feel like Morning Joe, you know.
So to kind of carry that on, so we've got as far as the process guy, Cory, and now I'm going to move over to me, the marketing guy, customer behavior, why do people do what they do, how do they do it, and let's talk about unique selling proposition, because keep in mind, we're talking about as far as 7 ways that you can increase your conversion. So unique selling proposition, every dealership and even any business, period, has to have a unique selling proposition. For example, like our firm has a unique selling proposition. Everybody needs one. So coming up with it, a unique selling proposition is not, hey, we've been in business for 42 years, we're nice, we've got great people, we've got the President's Award, blah, blah, blah. Because people are, and think about it, I mean, we're all that way. When we go to purchase something, we're in the selfish mode. And I don't mean that in the negative, I really don't. But what's in it for me is what they want to know. So I've got on the screen right now as far as unique selling proposition, and I'm going to show you as far as a unique selling proposition. But what we did is we had fun with it, is the way we built it out. So let me go in here. Ooh, look at that. Okay.
You're back.
And I'm back. All right. So here we go. And we're gonna show a video real quick. So here we go, guys. Ready for a video. Can you hear that, Cory?
No.
Oh, man. I thought as far as in Google Hangouts that the audio. You can't hear that, Cory?
No.
You could. How about now?
How about no?
That is so crazy.
And Paul, I don't know. I'm looking at. I've got the live stream up in my office, and the live stream is not showing any of this.
Did you hit the play button?
Yeah, of course I did.
Okay.
I'm just giving you an FYI. It's like it's constantly in my face. It's constantly on me, which is weird.
Okay, well, that's crazy. So, guys, tell us if you can see this. Everybody is watching this. Shoot us a tweet and let us know. Shoot us a tweet. That's kind of weird. But anyway, tweet us. Let us know if you're able to see, if we're broadcasting live, if everything's working. And we might not be able to show the video. That would suck. Okay. Oh, there we go. He's going through doing all this stuff. All right, cool. So as far as a unique selling proposition, what you've got to do, for example, let's say that you're a Toyota dealer. And if you're a Toyota...
Okay, Paul has lost audio.
Did I? Okay.
Oh, now you're back.
All right, here we go.
Lost audio. The good news is I do see something on the screen now, other than my face.
What do you see on screen now?
I see Bill Penny Toyota. I see the screen share.
But you can't hear anything.
That's correct. Oh, well, in fairness, I can't hear anything on my broadcast, but obviously I have the live broadcast muted, so obviously it's not feedback.
Yeah. Turn on your volume, Cory. Sorry about this.
On the live broadcast?
Yeah, on the live broadcast, and tell me if you can hear it.
Now you're back.
All right, here we go.
lost audio?
No, I'm just hearing the delay. Obviously, the delay.
I do see something on the screen now, other than my face. What do you see on screen now?
All right.
Bill
All right, go ahead and turn it down. We'll go back to it.
No audio.
Okay. Oh, well, so much for that idea.
Well, why don't we tell them what it said?
Okay, cool. All right, so what can you see on screen now, Cory?
I see your lovely face.
Okay, good. So there you go. That's awesome. All right, I'm back now. So I hope you can see me. Oh, Cory, you got your name wrote on your coffee cup. That's cool. Yes. All right, so we're back. So you can see me now.
Yes. Oh, no, I'm seeing myself again.
Okay, good. All right, good. Then we should be good. All right, so unique selling proposition. What I was trying to show you, and sorry about that, guys, is what we did for Bill Penny Toyota. You can go to their website and you can check it out. But we did a video because what they have is a $5,000 test drive. And you kind of think about it. How much money do you spend in advertising? With this dealership, what we've done, Monica's talking to me there. That's crazy. Anyway. All right, so we're rolling again. So as far as what we did is we did this video, and it's talking in a fun, comical way about the $5,000 test drive. So by creating this, it's a unique selling proposition because it's different than any other dealer. And then what we're doing, though, is we can use that for Facebook, we use that for LinkedIn, we use that for Twitter. It's on their actual website. It's used in their email newsletters. And then we show proof. Is what we're doing. We're actually showing the proof, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to the slide share here and show that. Okay. So right here, as far as, can you see that, Cory?
I see it on the screen. Obviously, there's going to be a delay in the live broadcast.
Yeah. So there's a delay.
I see it on the screen.
So it's on there. It's on the screen, and that's the beauty behind, let's go back to the slide share. Let's close that one out. Okay. Cory said we should have used a GoToMeeting, and at this point, I'm agreeing with him, All right, let's go back to here.
What do I know?
I don't know. What do you know? Okay. So right there, as far as this is a unique way to do your unique selling proposition. Think about what is unique about your dealership. Do you have extended service hours? That can be unique. What is it that's going on? Like I said, if you're a Toyota dealer and you have Toyota Care, package it up, make it pretty, and make it your own deal. And there's a lot of it. The OEMs have a lot of that stuff there, but it's so buried. What people are really doing is they're so focused on the price and the payment. They're focusing on the car, and you got to get away from that. You've got to start early in the funnel because you've got 15 dealers within a 75-mile radius that all have the same car. What are you going to do that's different? But what happens is a salesperson gets involved in the marketing, and a salesperson thinks it's all about price. Now you give up gross. So unique selling proposition is my takeaway, and it took a long time to get that across when we're trying to show a video that didn't work. All right, here we go. Next slide. All right, Cory.
Back to me. There went the graphics. So the next, funny thing, I thought there were graphics in what I sent, but
I didn't like those graphics when I put it together.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you for what you replaced it with. So the next thing I want to talk about is the idea of relevancy. So one of the things that we tend to do in this kind of horsepower marketing environment is we send out these messages and we do these messages, but we don't necessarily look at how they're relevant to the customer. I remember doing a mystery shop on a Mercedes store, new car lead, and then 3 days later I'm getting email blasts about the service department. Well, I was a prospect. I didn't even own the product. I didn't have anything to do with the product, but all of a sudden, now they're just blasting me all these different things. So, of course, that now drives down my desire to want to be a customer of this particular brand or this dealership. And as many of you know on this call, you have customers that will buy from somebody else. They'll buy a whole other brand just to spite you, which is crazy behavior when you think about it. But again, sometimes people just want to prove a point. So the key to relevance is to look at how you're communicating with the customer in an environment that makes sense to them. If they're on a minivan, make sure your communications are talking about that. If it's relative to lease pricing or buying or safety or whatever, you want to be in a situation where you're focused on that relevant idea. That's the number one reason why most people aren't successful with long-term follow-up is that they're not relevant. They just kind of dial the phone or they just send out emails and, hey, would you like to put a deal together? And there's no real core relevancy. There's nothing that would connect those dots. So, when we're thinking about creating engagement, the next step of that, the next logical step in an engagement why buy scenario is it relevant ultimately to the customer? And if you can keep your communications relevant, even if they're in a 45, 60, 90, 120-day, 6-month buying cycle, you still have a great opportunity to sell that customer at the end of the road because you stayed with them, and we'll talk about that in a second, but you stayed in the process with them, but those communications became relevant instead of just kind of...
As far as, give me an example of relevant, Corey. What do you mean relevant?
Yeah, so relevant would be, okay, great. So you had a customer that was in 3 weeks ago, and they were on a Honda Odyssey. So what we would typically, the typical salesperson does follow-up. He calls, and he says, oh, yeah, Mr. Potratz, you and your wife were here looking at the Honda Odyssey. Just wanted to see if you made any decisions or, if we can put a deal together, end of the month, Black Friday, it's the sale, and that's what we do. So the alternative to relevance, so now you're just a sales guy. That's even if they pick up the phone, because if you've been making that call generically time and time and time again, you're probably going into voicemail hell. So, and then, the joke I always like to say, instead of focusing on relevancy, we try to work around the problem, which is, we'll pull out our cell phone and we'll call them from the cell phone, and so to try to get them on the phone.
We'll trick them.
Yeah, we're going to trick them. So, but the reason they didn't answer in the first place is because they knew all that was waiting on the other side of that was, are you looking to put a deal together? Have you made a decision? So, in my philosophy about being relevant, what if I can take an element, a piece, some information that maybe wasn't shared, because we never get 100% right when they're there anyway. So could I take a piece of information? Was there a stair step that was put into place between November 1st when they came in and now for the end of the month? Was there an extra incentive? Was there some new information? Your dealership is full of propaganda about your vehicles, and I guarantee you most of you are not sharing all that propaganda with the customers. And I mean propaganda, Motor Trend Awards, crash test ratings. So think about this in a relevant environment for a second. I call you and I say, oh, Mr. Potratz, I'm following up with you on a Honda Odyssey. I don't know if we got a chance to really cover this, but the Odyssey did get a 5-star crash test rating from the National Highway Traffic and Safety Institute. And I know safety was clearly something that was important to you or your family. Now, there's the key. My call was to share information, not to find out if I could close a deal. I'm going to find out if there's an opportunity to sell or an opportunity to do a deal. I'm going to get that information after he answers the question, because the feedback is going to be typically, again, oh, well, thank you for sharing that, or I figured it had, or I'd done some research, and and then you're going to hear some additional things that the customer is going to volunteer, because now they're not just focused on, oh, God, the car dealer is calling me again and asking me when we're doing a deal. And that's going to become the big difference for you to think about when I'm talking about staying relevant. So, especially when you're in a BDC environment, you got to make call number 67 sound just as fresh, vibrant, and engaging as call number 1.
All right, here we go. Let's hit some questions. Are you ready, Corey?
No, but go ahead.
All right, well, I know you're ready. You're always ready. You're always prepared. All right. So, Brad Bowers asked, does the sales department structure, BDC or no BDC, set appointments versus BDC sells after closing ratio, affect closing ratio? Let me read that again.
I think I got it, but go ahead.
Let me do it again, though.
Okay.
Does the sales department structure, BDC or no BDC, set appointments versus BDC sells? So you think you got that?
Well, what you're asking is, depending on your setup, if you're a BDC that just makes an appointment, or you're an internet department that sells start to finish, does that affect closing ratios? That's the question.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the interesting thing about that, and where I kind of maybe differ from other industry experts, is that I don't believe there's a definitive one-size-fits-all. What ultimately has to happen, and the answer to that question is you have to look at capacities to determine what's affecting your closing ratio. So what I mean by capacities is if you are operating this traditional BDC, meaning engaging the customers, setting appointments, confirming appointments, bringing the customers in, if you're doing it in a traditional fashion and turning it over to the salespeople, then that becomes about capacity. So your closing ratio is going to be affected by the number of people that are actually calling you back, emailing you back, engaging with you, moving through the appointment phase. If your capacity is out of whack, meaning you've got 3 people and 1,000 leads, then you're going to have a problem. You have the same problem if you're on the start to finish side. What's dangerous about start to finish, or could be dangerous, is that's where capacity is really, really important, because you have this 80 to 125 leads, or whatever the stat people want to tell us is the optimal number of leads that someone should handle. But if you're out of whack on a capacity basis, that's where you will get killed. That's where you have a lot of leakage and a lot of deals will fall through the cracks, because you've got 250 leads per person and you have someone that takes 3 hours to deliver a car from start to finish. What happens to those leads? Who's picking up the slack? That's definitely where deals will be more affected. So as a general rule, the answer to your question is it's more capacity than it is style, but you're on higher alert for a potential greater loss of opportunities if you're in a start to finish internet department that is not very, very specifically hawking and hawkish on how they're looking at capacity per salesperson.
Okay, so let me add to that. So as far as we're going to bring the marketing mix into it too, though. So every dealership, every business, what they need to know as far as what is my conversion off of my website. In other words, based on the traffic to my website, how many leads am I receiving? Is your website converting at, let's say, 1.88%? Is it 2.8? Is it 3? Is it 4%? So in other words, unique visits to as far as conversion. That's the first measurement. You want to look at not only now your unique visits, but what is your conversion as far as to lead based on your paid search traffic, your organic traffic, your chat leads, and your phone calls. So you've got to break all that down, because you will see as far as different conversion factors. So again, let me explain that again. And especially if you're doing third parties, AutoTrader, Cars.com, and all that. Break it down and say, you know what, when I am with my AutoTrader leads, when those leads come in, what's actually happening? How many of those people do we get on the phone? How many of those people do we schedule an appointment with? How many of those people show up? And how many of those people buy? You need to follow it all the way through the funnel. Same thing. Your paid search traffic, got to follow it all the way through. Your organic traffic, follow it all the way through. Because now what that will allow you to do is to say, you know what, if I put this much more money into my paid search, generally I should get this. But you know, again, a lot of people are like, oh, what's the industry standard? Don't focus on the industry standard, because that stresses you out, keeps you up late at night, and every dealership is different. Every website's different. Every person's different. So when you break it down, now we've broken it down as far as how's our website perform, now you need to break it down and say, all right, I've got Tom, I've got Steve, I've got Mary that's handling leads. Now what is their closing ratio? In other words, and I don't mean the point to a sale, I mean, what is the ratio as far as how well does Tom do as far as getting somebody on the phone the first time and scheduling an appointment? How well does Tom do making sure the person shows up? How well does Tom do making sure that he sells the product? You know, if you're doing a cradle to grave process. But you need to really break it down. Every contact, every touch point that they make where it's supposed to be the road to a sale, you need to measure all that, because now you can see as far as where do you need to improve on Tom and Steve and Mary, you know, where are their weak points. But it also gives you the opportunity, too, to say, you know what, I'm doing paid advertising, I'm doing paid search, I'm doing remarketing, I'm doing these type of things, and I don't know what my conversion is, I'm just spending money. So this way you can break it down, because maybe the dysfunction is your website. Maybe the dysfunction is bad copywriting in your ads. Maybe the dysfunction is you're using some company that's basically creating ads for 500 other dealers in your state, and everybody has the same advertising. Of course your conversion's going to suck. So that's my 2 cents.
Lovely.
All right, smile, smile. All right, here we go. Let me pull up the next slide. All right, here we go. So since we were talking about that, how come I always have to have the slides? Next time you're doing the slides, Corey.
Pass.
All right, here we go.
Well, yeah, I'll do the slides on GoToWebinar.
Okay, good. All right, excellent. All right, so what I want to show you kind of going in as far as, we were talking about make it relevant, but it's the same thing. So make it relevant in your phone conversations, make it relevant in your emails, but what about your paid search? So hopefully you can see the screen. So I'm showing you an eBay screen, and if you look over to the right, you'll see where it says save hundreds on maintenance. So this is as far as a remarketing ad that's running on eBay. Now, most times, if you think about it, what happens as far as you have your remarketing ads, your display ads, your whatever, and somebody clicks that ad, and what happens? It's like, boom, they land on a page that has no relevance. And then what that causes, it actually causes as far as a higher bounce rate. You don't get as much conversion. So here's the page on eBay. Can you see that, Corey?
Yeah.
All right. So now if we click that ad, we land on the dealer's website. So can you see that one now? Now we're on the dealer's website?
Yeah, we're all good.
All right, good. So again, let me click back. There's the ad. Boom. There's the page. The colors are same. The picture's the same. The font's the same. Everything is the same. It has the same look and feel. And think about it. People don't like change. And, I mean, they don't like change in the work environment. They don't like change in their personal life. Why in the world would you think that they like change, that basically you're working with a company that's doing, hundreds or thousands of ads, that they're templating all these ads out, and then they're driving them over to your website, and there's no relevance? Trust me, that will cause a higher bounce rate. You end up spending more on your advertising than you should. And, I mean, think about it, what Dell does, what Best Buy, what Zappos, what Amazon, I mean, the list goes on, that there's a lot of study going into this to make sure. And if you notice as far as Ryan's body is turned, where his shoulders are slightly turned and he's pointing and he's turned towards as far as your call to action point, your conversion point. So one of the things that we do is we measure this page, the conversion on this page. Now let me be clear about conversion though. And when somebody watches this video, because that's what this campaign's built to do, is it's built for someone to watch the video. When they watch the video at 90%, we consider that to be a conversion, meaning that they did what we wanted them to do. And then as far as further down the page, value your trade now, get pre-approved today, view our new specials. So there's no dead end. And a lot of your websites, when you go on there, there's always a dead end on the page. In other words, you go to the page, it's a message. All right, there's the message. All right, let's hit the back button. And that's a dead end. That is what will actually drop your conversion, your closing ratios. You can never, ever, ever have a dead end. So in other words, they can go to this page and they can continue the process on. And if you want to get really fancy with retargeting, when they watch this video, you can A, retarget them, or if you're doing marketing automation, which we'll get into, that's another thing that you can actually trigger a sequence. So, all right, let's go to the next slide. Are you ready, Corey?
Always.
All right.
Just looking at the Twitter.
There you go.
Twitter stream. So the next one here that I want to talk about
with no graphics.
With no graphics, yeah. I was trying to let it go. So the next thing I want to talk about here is the idea of stretching yourself and stretching your follow-up plan. So here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to do a couple things. I'm asking you to look for opportunities to add calls and emails to your current follow-up. I'm not talking about just busy work for the sake of busy work. Remember, relevancy is going to play a key role in this. So I want you to look for these opportunities on where you can do that, and I want you to work on extending your active follow-up for an additional 10 to 14 days. So I want you to look at your current process, because I guarantee for a lot of you, and again, I will say, Paul, I mean, we typically tend to attract more progressive dealers on these type of calls and these hangouts, people that are willing to take the time to get the edge. So I just happen to believe that, you know, some of the people that really need this stuff probably aren't on the call right now or in the hangout. But so most of you that are from the more progressive environment where you have some more progressive approaches going on potentially in your store, the thing I'm going to say to you is, look at where that follow-up process is, look at where it ends, and I want you just to squeeze a little, I want you just to take a look over the next 30, 60, 90 days, what could happen if you just squeeze an extra communication out over that additional 5 days or 10 days. If you just squeeze a little something extra, stretching yourself, and again, in an environment where we could have a 6-month buyer, in an environment where if you're on the front lines here, you're making 60 calls, 70 calls, 80 calls a day, depending on volume. In an environment where you're leaving 70% messages and you're hoping people call you back, it's tough. But I want you just to stretch yourself. I know you look at that screen, you look at that CRM, you look at that work plan, and you're on call 12. I hope at least you have that much in your follow-up plan. You're on call number 12, and you're like, they haven't answered the first time, the second time, the fifth time, the sixth time, the seventh time. I'm saying take that next step, stretch yourself, stretch it to 13, 14, 15. You're going to hit that sweet spot. We know time and time again, all the stat people tell us that we see deals happening further and further out in the buying cycle and tracing that back. So my challenge is, in this whole piece of the puzzle, get more engagement, stay relevant in that engagement, and stretch yourself. Have the what's in it for them, but stretch yourself and your follow-up just a little bit more. Paul?
Yep. I agree, and I mean, I think I've got a good example with that though too. So, I had this one guy that I went in. He was as far as one of the BMW dealers, and I looked at the cars. I was saying, I'd really love to have an M5. So I looked at the M5s, and I was like, I don't know. They had like this reddish one. I was kind of like, yeah, it had red interior. I was like, I don't know about the red interior. They had black. I didn't want black. Everybody's got black. And that was all they had. So I just kind of went away, and it was like one of those things. Yeah, I'd like to have it, but there was nothing that really tripped my trigger. And so I left the dealership, and it was like clockwork. I mean, this guy would follow up every month, and I knew it wasn't through a CRM because the emails were coming on an AOL email account. And I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. So I think he had the little, as far as the little postcards and the little binder, the little note cards. But I would get an email. It was like once a month, and he just stayed in contact. And then he emailed me, and it was, I don't know, about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. That's usually when I start getting the emails. And he's like, Paul, hey, I just had 3 new M5s come in, and I've got as far as a gold one, a red one, and a black one. And it was just a real quick email. I mean, he told me it had SMG transmission, and he just hit me at the right point. And again, it was around 7:30 at night. And so I called, and he just left. But I was so excited about it, and I don't know why. It was just happened to be the right time. And so I drove over to the dealership, and there was the car, and it was like the gold color, and it had really light-colored wood and light-colored leather, and it was like, I kind of like this. So I took it for a drive, and then it was like I was playing chase to come up, to actually get in contact with them again. But I was motivated now. And if he wouldn't have stayed in contact with me for all those months, he would have lost out. I did end up buying the car, but it was just that he stretched himself, and I'm boring Cory because he's yawning now. So, exactly.
Nobody sees that.
Oh yeah, they do. You're on camera.
Nobody sees that, but they don't see that.
Yes, they did.
No, it doesn't show up in the broadcast.
It does.
No.
Hey, if it showed up in the broadcast, I want you guys to tweet that Paul is boring Cory, he's yawning. Have you seen it? So yeah, you've definitely got to stretch it out. You've got to keep it, and I mean, and that's perfect as far as we got a question from Brenda Niedermeyer, and she says, at what point should one put an unsold lead into the perpetual communication? Cory, what's your opinion?
Yeah, again, another tough question because obviously I'm asking anybody to take whatever they're doing and asking them to stretch themselves. There's a couple ways to look at it. I mean, you have this buy or die mentality that's out there. The question is going to be the question you need to ask yourself, because I love to ask thought starters to answer questions, but the question is going to be to ask yourself is what do you define as active follow-up, and then what do you define as dormant follow-up, meaning where you no longer consider them to be an active person in the cycle. And that could be the 90-day mark, that can be the 6-month mark. The realities are that you don't necessarily You don't necessarily have to define that if you have a marketing plan for dormant follow-up. Meaning, what are these messages going to be 6 months from now or 12 months from now? They haven't opted out, so they're still in the stream. We don't know if they're still buying. You have people who come into the market really, really, really early, and nothing ever materializes. Or you get some people, and I've seen this, and again, we have a tendency, of course, remember unique experiences, but I've seen behavior where we've continued to follow up through the CRM so long that we've actually come back around to another cycle for the customer. And I've seen deals happen in that environment where they had a 27-month lease and they ended up buying another brand, but they continued to be in our marketing plan, our newsletter, our follow-up system within the CRM, in our dormant follow-up plan. And now they've come back or gone with this brand this time. So we've seen that, but typically based on manpower, we see stores that will work the leads over that 90-day sweet spot and then want to move them off of the daily work plan. And again, that's a capacity issue. If you got 2-3 people in your BDC and you've got 800 leads going on, well, it's nice to say we follow up with everybody forever, but that's not always the reality. Now, I will tell you, there are a couple great systems out there that will extract the data from your from your CRM, extract these unsold leads or these lost sale leads from your CRM system and then put them into a perpetual marketing system for both sales and service. So you have people who were potentially new car customers that bought somewhere else but aren't marketed to for potential service. So there are some technology pieces, some ways to do that. Obviously, that's something that they have all our info. You can tweet me or send an email. Or send an email if you want more information on that piece. It's not my product, so I'm not selling it, but I can definitely talk to you more about that. Paul?
I love that. So as far as, since we're talking about that, and because this question, let's take that a step farther. Screen share. All right, I want everybody to write this down. Are you ready, guys? Write this down. It's called marketing automation. And here it goes.
Marketing automation.
Automation. So hopefully you can see my screen. So for example, on my screen.
Yeah, that's a tough share, but go ahead.
Yeah, it is. I know. It's kind of hard to see.
You can't click the tab right in the center of the keynote up top where it says 20%. You can't adjust it right there, right in the middle. You were right there. It's right there. That doesn't drop down.
It says rename, move to cloud, move to, duplicate, lock, and all versions.
That's where your percentage was. So I thought you can make it bigger there because it says 20%. But okay, go ahead.
Let me take it a little larger here. Did that help it, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, you can't see all the data, but you can see the data bigger. So I think it's a win.
Okay, so let me see if I stretch it. Did that help it?
Yeah, I can see the lead. I can see the visit. I can see some stuff. Yep.
What do you want me to click on? Okay. There we go. All right. So, yeah, if somebody's sitting on a 15-inch screen, I'm sorry. So what I'm showing you is marketing automation, and this is what we do on our own website. So for those of you that signed up for the webinar, maybe you see your name on the screen right now, like Jake McCracken and Rain Knoll, and, it just goes on, Bryce. And so what happens
We got you.
Do what?
We got you.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt. And so what's happening, people are on our website, so they're on that page for the webinar. And then if you look where it says, as far as like where it has rain, it says November 8th, 12:16 a.m., so it was a late night for him. And then it moves over 14, that's 14 pages. So he went to the page about this webinar that you guys are on right now, but then he looked at 14 pages on our website. And then if you move on over, it shows what the refer was in there, how we got him here. It shows as far as the entry page, and then it shows his last visit. So he came on at 12:16 a.m. Last visit, that was first visit, November 8th, 2013, and then he came back on November 18th at 12:25 a.m. So Rain's showing as far as a process here that apparently he comes on the website around midnight. But with marketing automation, based on what he's looking at, you can start to automate emails back to Rain. You can also automate emails to your sales staff. and saying, guess what? This customer has come back in. So Brenda, if you think about that, you can work your lead based on capacity, and then when you're not making, headway with them anymore, they can be into the marketing automation sequence. So when they are coming to the website, you can start to see a pattern. What are they looking at? What time of the day, what time of the night are they looking at? Whatever they're looking at. So now you can change your call habits and call out to them that way. And I would even take it a step farther and go and find them on social media and try to connect with them on social media. And that's what we do as far as an agency. Somebody signs up for our Think Tank Tuesday, our free strategy tips on our website. Then what we do is we go, I'm giving all the secrets, we go out and we find them on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, and we try to make multiple connections. And one of the things is, they get to see us over and over and over, but they start to understand our personality and our philosophies and the things that we do, so we form a relationship with them. So it comes, because there's a lot of other companies out there doing search engine marketing and websites, but it becomes to the point that it's a lot more than who can be the cheapest. So think about that, Brendan. I hope we answered your question on that. All right, so here we go. I got another question. Are you ready?
No, I've got some tweets. I got to respond to some tweets here.
Why don't you do a tweet? Why don't you read one of the tweets there?
Well, no. I want to respond on the Hangout. That's what I'm saying. I want to respond to some of the tweets here. Real quick, I'll take care of a couple. Benjamin Friedman tweeted us in and was making the points about sending out info about the service department to prospects is not irrelevant. So I think he tweeted that in disagreement with me, and I want to just be clear on the point I was making in the example that we were discussing when we were talking about relevancy. If I submit in the example that I gave, which was a mystery shop on a C-Class Mercedes-Benz, in 48 hours, I don't expect to hear to receive promotions about winterizing my tires as a new car prospect within 48 hours. So that, to me, was irrelevant to the nature of my communication. So, and that tweet came in when I said it earlier, so chances are I just made the comment a minute ago about being able to life cycle follow up prospects or unsold leads for things like sales and service. So understanding that short-term relevancy and what you're doing in the first 48 hours, especially with a customer, is not the same thing as 6 months or 9 months worth of marketing. So just want to clarify that. If we still disagree, then that's okay. We can do that. One of the questions that came in too was a discussion about tracking. Matthew wants to know about tracking closing percentages when his dealership won't use a CRM. Yeah, that's a tough one. So I'm assuming what he's saying is, I hope he's not saying they don't have a CRM. I think what he's saying is potentially is that they're not consistently entering in the information. Now, I hate to give old school advice because I focus on being progressive. I do benefit from the fact that, my background is retail, so I came through the ranks through the dealership environment. So before there were fancy CRM systems and those type of things. So, what you really need to do in your situation is really going to be to get granular. If you can't get more buy-in, again, assuming you have a CRM and you're trying to increase buy-in in that area, one of the ways that I always tried to show buy-in or to increase buy-in when I couldn't get people to see it the way I wanted to was to try to focus on how I can show loss, how I can show revenue loss, how I can show leakage, how I can show loss of sold deals. So if you can build a case first and foremost on how the behavior of usage of CRM is affecting your ability to close more business and quantify that and say, you know what, there were 7, 8, 9, there were 12 deals that our average gross profit of $2,000, let's say, front and back. So there was $24,000 of lost profit because we don't do X. That can be a really strong motivator. As far as the tracking is concerned, you have a couple different ways to do it. One, certainly you have the method of any lead provider you're dealing with has a back-end tool. So if you're on a Potrat's website, let's say, I can go in the back end and I can obviously pull the leads from that system. If you're buying third-party leads, you can do that as well. So you may just have to do an old-fashioned audit if you can't get the usage out of the CRM system, where you're taking those leads and you're matching against whatever your sold record. Obviously, is a DMS in the store, and you're doing a records match that way. You're really just going to have to get old school. I mean, I was in the store the other day, and they have like an abacus on the wall. I'm not saying we need to go back to an abacus, but I'm just making a point that's what I saw. So that's kind of my answer there. And I'll do one more. So the question was, Paul, and this would be good for you too, because you were talking about market automation. Is Skyline Automotive? They were asking, how do we feel about automated emails to potential customers? I'll throw that to you first, and I'll jump back in.
Yeah, exactly. I think automated emails are, if done properly, can work. So let's say, for example, somebody fills in a lead and you send as far as the automated thank you. That automated thank you should not be like, thank you, we'll be in contact with you soon. If you need something urgently, call us. It should not be that. It should be, thank you, and then it should be as far as, find out more about why buy from Skyline Automotive. So by utilizing that automated email that comes out of your CRM, get them back into the website. Tell them things as far as value your trade. Get pre-approved for credit. Find out, the why you should buy from Skyland. So get them back into the website and let them learn your unique selling proposition. That's what you want to do. I mean, do it that way. And the same thing. So that's the automated email. And you also want to make sure that that thank you page is built out to keep them in the website. If you're going to do marketing automation now, yeah, that's what it's all about. But the marketing automation is so specific. In other words, if somebody goes onto your page and they start doing a payment calculator, then you can automate those emails going back based on the next logical choice of a payment calculator. So that's automated emails. And we're almost out of time, Corey. So we got to
speed
it up. Yeah, buddy.
Okay, well, I just wanted to, okay, so I'll speed it up. I was just gonna say a couple things. I'm moving through the thread. We need to make this longer next time. I kind of like this.
I know. I'm loving that pickle in your window, buddy.
Yeah, it's a cactus. Shout out to Beacon Beige real quick, and Eric Milch.
Hey guys, the 800 number. You know what? I got Monica in here, and Monica could be at Starbucks right now.
No, they love the Twitter. They love Twitter. They love Twitter.
But let's call in. Let's get the phone ringing because I say we're about out of time.
With the few minutes you just said we have left.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. We're coming up on our last slide, unless that I feel some love. I mean,
well, no,
Monica, are you feeling any love over there?
I know what. You know what? It's Twitter love, though. See, you gotta.
Twitter love. But
stay progressive.
I'm telling you, I've got Monica here, and she's got a beautiful voice.
Jake
and
McCracken
she's waiting for somebody to call the number 866-503-5855. So we're going to sit here and we're just going to look at each other, Corey, until somebody dials that number.
Yeah, I'm going to read the Twitter feed because Jake McCracken called us stalkers, but we just need to let them know. As they say in Star Trek, resistance is futile. And shout out to Eric Milch and Benjamin Freeman. We're back on the same page, so that was good that we cleared that up. And Matt, I don't know what to say, bro. They don't have a CRM at all. You probably need to call me and figure out how we can game plan getting them on. Look
at that picture.
And getting them on.
Corey's on the big. Dude, what are we doing? Where's my picture, man? You're tweeting Corey.
Who's that?
I'm the one with as far as the funeral pocket square.
I just like being on big screens. That's good. So okay, where's the last slide? Let's get the business done, and then we'll continue to do tweet shoutouts as long as we have time.
All right, let's move to the next one. All right. Okay, so your next slide. Do you want to see it, or you want me to read it to you, Corey?
Go ahead and let me see it, since I haven't seen it since I sent it to you.
I know you asked for it, but I didn't send it to you.
Yes, thank you. Preparation. Where's that hashtag prepared? So the last thing I want to...
Phone's ringing.
Oh, that's good. What do we got? Well, let her write the question down, and I'll bang out this next point.
Right. Bang it out, Corey. Bang it, buddy.
You've got some colorful slides to show afterwards. So the last thing I wanted to point out from my perspective is this is huge. We got to confirm that the whole team is on the same page. And what I mean by that is your frontline employees need to be in sync and not dependent on one or two superstars who do things their own way. So one of the biggest things I look at when I go into a store is this idea that essentially, if I take salespeople individually and pull them aside and start talking to them and ask them about process in the store, and let's just keep this internet related. If I'm in a store, it's a multiple BDC reps or internet reps, and I say, tell me about your process, and I say it individually, I get different answers. So that tells me that there's people that are doing their own thing, that are going rogue potentially, and from a management level, you may think one thing is happening and something completely different. And that could be a word track, that could be a process, that could be when they're communicating, when they decide to email, when they're following up, how they're working their to-do list. I had a guy one time tell me, and I looked at his to-do list, and all of his to-do list was moved to like 6 p.m. And I asked him, why did you do this? He says, oh, well, these are my evening calls, and these are all the people I know. I call them in the evening. I said, well, how do you know that? He had no real answer. It was just the way he had his process set up. So as you can imagine, that's completely different than the 3 people sitting next to him. So he's got his own kind of thing going on and his own set of results. So continuity, being on the same page, is certainly a huge thing. I mean, you see that in any organized sport, the importance of everybody working in tandem. It's no different here in a BDC environment or an internet environment or a sales team. One of the things that kills me is this idea that, we've got 2 managers in the store, and salespeople will work with, they'll go, oh, I don't want to work or deal with this guy. So what's the problem there? You have these different styles. Well, guess what? That means your results cannot be consistent. You can't achieve incremental, sustainable growth in an environment like that. So I think it's a great opportunity if you have the ability to do that, or if you're somebody that can start that conversation at your store and find out, does everyone actually believe they're on the same follow-up program and on the same kind of program in the store? Paul?
Sorry, I had to get my lunch.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
All right, let's go to the next one. All right, can you see my slide, Cory?
Yep. Looks like one of mine.
You want to read it for me?
Don't be scared to ask for more.
Scared.
Scared. Don't be scared to ask for more.
All right, guys, that was your 7 tips. If you want more, then what we want you to do is tweet. We need some more tweets because we have 1, 2,
Doug's
3,
mad. Doug's
4.
mad that you didn't put him on the air. He thought you were going to put his question live on, and you didn't.
We are next time.
He's upset about that. And thank you, Jim Ziegler, for letting me know that my cactus does look like a pickle. Thank you.
Yes. All right, do we get any tweets? Because I'm not going to give any more tips unless we get some tweets. Oh, we got a phone call question. Let's hit that.
Okay, good.
They got to find the question. They lost. Do male or female leads close at different rates?
That's a marketing. I mean, you probably study stuff like that. I don't.
Well, that is. I don't have a stat for that. But
the comment I was going to make, not to talk over top of you, but I will. The comment I was going to make was relative to the fact that you really can't even. What makes that very difficult to even assess, and I'm not saying somebody has not studied it, there's going to be some stat person that maybe has that data, but the reality of it is, in many cases, your starting buyer, quote unquote, or the starting person you're engaged with isn't necessarily the end buyer. So you may have a female called to do research, and ultimately it's still a husband and wife decision. So how do you split that down the middle? Or you may have a father call for a daughter. I mean, this from a standpoint of that, I think that's a big challenge. I believe there are statistics that will support buying decisions. So we all know the influence of gender as it relates to buying influence in a household. But in terms of saying, I don't know anybody that's tracking it. I'm sure that somebody is. They'll tweet me or email us later. But I got 50 leads and 50 were females and 20 closed. I've never looked at the stat that way. I don't know about you, Paul.
Okay, so here we go. Here's a question as far as how does retargeting work again. So retargeting, quite simply, is And there's
Oh, why don't you put your video back? So pull the screen off. It's better when you're answering the question and visually.
I wanted to share the next one.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were answering a question.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, so as far as retargeting, how does retargeting work? What happens is somebody visits your website, they pick up a little piece of code, they leave your website, and it's like you stalk them everywhere they go. If they're on ESPN, HGTV, eBay, wherever they're going, they're seeing that ad. But there's 10 different types of retargeting. And the one I'm talking about is site retargeting. But when I'm talking about 10 different types, there's 7 that you can have access to as an everyday marketer, but there's 3 more that our firm works with that's not available to the everyday marketer. And it gets very specific. You can retarget individuals that's never even visited your website. So again, the one I talked about, they visit your website, they leave your website, and then they start seeing your ads. It's called site retargeting. But it gets more detailed that if somebody shows an interest in something, even though they never visited your website, they can start seeing the ads wherever they go. There's also similar audiences, which is retargeting. In other words, let's say that you had 1,000 people that visited your website. They looked at it as far as, let's say, a Ram 1500. We have a technology that we can go out and find other individuals. Think of birds of a feather flock together. We can go out and find other individuals that fit that same profile that were on your website and start to retarget to them even though they never visited your website. So that's retargeting. All right, so let's move in. As far as we still have people hanging out here, and I wanted to give them a few more things. How about it, Cory?
Hold on, I want to this for clarification. It's pretty clear. Cactus people, because we're getting tweets about the pickle and the cactus. So I just wanted to point that out. Back to you, Paul.
All right, awesome. So let me go over here and I'm going to give you guys some more tips. So here we go. We're gonna speed roll through this baby. All right, as soon as I can get
us, Paul. Tip us.
All right, here we go. Boom. All right, so start your marketing strategy earlier. So those of you guys that heard me speak, I talk about that. And I don't care what it is. You could be selling cars, anything in sales. Start your process earlier. So you kind of think about it. A sales guy gets involved in marketing, and a sales guy, the ultimate thing that they want to do is to be able to sell. They sell the product. So what they think in their mind, selling the product is discounting the price, making a low price, sell by price, die by price, whore yourself out. And you can't do that. Understand the behavior that someone goes through and what they're doing. Think about your own behavior if you're interested in buying something. So what I have on the screen right now, what I'm showing you, as far as 7, this is a landing page, and you see how we've built it out. It says 7 things you can do to increase the sale price or trade-in value of a vehicle. Think about it. If I'm interested in buying a car, then I probably want to say, oh, should I sell my car outright? Should I trade it in? Which way? I'll get more money if I sell it outright. So by building this page, you can actually get somebody on the, fill it out, and you notice it just says email. We're not asking for first name, last name, mailing address, and firstborn child. It's just the email. Tie that in with marketing automation. Now you know. And then we're also letting people sign up when they sign up to get this video where we explain the things to them. Hey, do these things to your car and all that. You notice there's good copywriting and there's nothing in here going, hey, if you take delivery by January 31st, you can save whatever. So get away from that stuff. So start the strategy earlier. All right, you ready for the next one, Cory? Here we go.
Okay, yep. Let me know if you, okay, go ahead.
All right, replicate the sales process virtually. So if I was to come onto the lot, Cory, and back in the day when you used to sell cars, and I said, Cory, man, I love that Honda Fit, but what is it going to cost me per month? What's the monthly payment? Your response would be what, Cory?
Sir, the payments are going to be what the payments are going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And
you
then
have to
you say,
decide
oh,
if
Paul,
if it's a vehicle you like enough to own.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm going to say. That's what I would have said back then because I didn't have any real training. So they just kind of threw me out there and said, go sell some cars. So I would have said the payment's going to be, as I learned from a salesman called George Vi, sir, your interest rate's going to be what your interest rate's going to be. You need to make the decision that this is a vehicle you'd like enough to own, and I'll make that happen.
There you go. Or... Cory, well, or Paul, that depends on how much money are you putting down, are you trading a vehicle in, and your credit score.
Oh, I'm sorry, you were trying to lead me to say that? That's what you should have prepped me to. That's what you wanted me to answer. Of course.
Well, that's okay. A lot of people
All right.
forget that, and then when I do say that, they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's what I would do." But the question is, does your website do that? And by doing this, so in other words, you notice right here to the right below where it says "Get Sunset Honda's Best Price," it says Payment Calculator. Just about every website I look at, the payment calculator is on the page, and somebody's calculating the payment on the page, and now you have no idea they're calculating the payment. Think about that in real life, that you would have no idea that somebody wants to know how much the payment is. You have to make it a lot harder to be able to sell. So if we look at the next page, when I click that button, Payment Calculator, this is what happens. There's a page, the URL changes, it's a payment calculator, and then below, after they're calculating payment, get pre-approved in just 60 seconds, and what is your vehicle worth? Doing these little things can generate more leads. And I'm not telling you 100 more leads, but I mean, just these little subtle tweaks could be good for 5 more leads, maybe 10 more. It all depends on the traffic to your website. So, Corey, do you have something you want to add in? Because we're on speed roll here now.
Yeah, I wanted. I like doing the tweet response. I like responding to the tweet things. Yeah, that's a good point you were having. We did have a couple tweet things come in. Number one was clarification from Beacon Bates. Thank you for the tweet. She chimed in that women, in fact, men are more car enthusiasts, but statistically, women make more purchasing decisions. So I think that may help to answer the other person's question. And then Ben Friedman wanted to point out, reference how first response and initial response plays into the kind of ZMOD, zero moment of truth strategy. If you're not familiar with that term, just Google ZMOD, and there's a whole ebook and stuff you can download. But to answer his question, really, it's a first impression. So many things are universal in our business. Doesn't matter if we're in the car business or what we're selling, or if you're meeting the dad of the woman you want to marry for the first time. It's the same thing. So first impressions, whether that be an initial email, whether it be how you answer the phone, whether it be the first handshake or meet and greet when a customer comes in, certainly first impressions are going to be huge. And setting the table and setting the stage about how you go about that is going to be significant ultimately in terms of what the opinions are. And you got to think granular sometimes, because I've read emails that told me about how they were the premier Nissan dealership in the country, and they spelled premier with the E at the end, which is movie premiere. So again, it's that kind of behavior, or the exclusive internet benefits package, which includes a playroom for the kids. So with the logic telling me that showroom customers' kids have to just sit in a room and stare at the wall, and only internet customers get to use the playroom. So you got to use that logic. I call it CSA approach, common sense approach. So you got to think about that kind of stuff in terms of your behavior, and that's kind of how, to answer Ben's question, the first response, the message, the foundation, the ground that you lay is certainly going to contribute to what they think of you, what actions they will take, and what they may or may not be willing to do down the line. And everybody on the call will just have to catch up with us on some of my influence conferences that I do too, where we talk about that.
Awesome. Okay, let's go back to this, and I'm going to show you another tip.
Please.
All right, empower your team. I mean, there's so much talk about social media, and one of the strategies that you can follow is by empowering your team. Can you see my slide okay?
No, but I lost you. It's got your icon up now.
Okay, do you see me now? Or see the slide now?
No.
Oh, wow.
It's just got your little circle picture up now.
All right, let's empower the team. Let's try that again. Maybe we're eating up too much bandwidth on Google.
The fish.
There you go, fish. So think about social media. I've heard so many times.
Fish?
Miles, it was the fish this past 19 hours ago.
Wowzers, that's big.
Yeah, so internally what we do at Potrats every week, we have as far as we give out the Fish Award. And it's all about as far as play, be there, make their day, choose your attitude. And what happens is internally everybody votes on who gets the Fish Award every week. And this is one more way that as far as what are you laughing about, Corey?
I'm laughing at. No, you go ahead. I'm
Okay.
laughing at Doug McIver's tweet about the cactus. Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, go ahead.
All
Don't
right.
mind me. They don't see me. They see what's on your screen right now.
Yeah. All right. So what we do is we do things internally to really promote people as far as call them out and say, hey, you've made a difference. And this goes on to, as far as Facebook, we tweet about it. So we're letting people in our community, and I don't mean community as far as here in New York. I'm talking about our community as far as vendors and clients and people we're connected to of what goes on internally. So empower the team. Don't, we're going to hire some company to do social media for us. Don't do that. I mean, seriously, are you going to hire somebody to go to the Rotary Club for you? Are you going to hire somebody to go to the JCs for you? Are you going to hire somebody to go to the Chamber Mixer for you? I don't think so. And I don't understand why we make social media so difficult, because social media is that, as far as it's a community thing. It's the same thing as going and watching your son play hockey, and you're communicating, you're networking with other parents. So empower your team. And if you're too scared for them to post on your business Facebook page, well, then you ought to be really scared for them to be answering the phone or taking lot ups or whatever the case might be. But train them and really encourage it. So I'm going to go to the next slide where you can see
Wow,
that.
that was Paul Potratz getting controversial there. Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. It frustrates me that these companies, we'll do your social media posting. Seriously?
Two
I mean,
G's a month, baby. 2 G's.
Yeah, I mean, come on. No, there's no such thing. Oh, we're going to do your social. No, bullshit.
Well,
Nobody's
before
gonna,
I want to make. Oh yeah, that's good. Can you say? I don't think you can say curses on here. But real quick, while you're talking about empower your team, I want to respond to a tweet real quick from Tony Slaughter, who asked the question about bonusing in the BDC environment. Do I believe in it, or is it counterproductive? Real quick, because this is a team question. I do believe in it. If you're depending on how your BDC is structured, salespeople work for two things. Very simple. They work for compensation and they work for recognition. And anytime you can combine those two things, you're going to be able to have it. You're going to be able and do it properly. You'll be able to build a long-term effective team. The way I look at bonusing is probably a little different, though. I believe in more of a team environment, so I believe in bonus pools, depending on the circumstance. But I generally believe in bonus pools. This idea of everybody's working towards the common goal, and everybody has to pull their own weight, and then we look at that information at the end and say, okay, let's just say from an appointment environment, so-and-so had all the, this guy had 40% more appointments than you. Well, now we need to look at how we distribute that bonus pool, and that's how we work with that. But as a general rule, I'm in favor of a kind of a bonus structure.
What I'm in favor of, though, too, is a sliding scale, that if you get to this point, in other words, if you get this X number of appointments, you're going to get this bonus, but you're rewarding, as far as a higher performance. Now, if you get to this, you get even a bigger bonus. So I believe in sliding scales. And I mean, even, internally, we have, as far as bonuses that we have in place, as far as if we hit conversion in our, digital marketing, our SEM strategies and all that. So that's the way we build that out. And then over to this one slide, empowering your team. I have this pulled up. So what I'm really talking about is get your team posting on Facebook. So, for example, like yesterday, we were doing some training, because we do a leadership training every Thursday. And that's, it provides an opportunity to post. I mean, if you're a dealership, you're always posting about the car. Get away from that and post about things that are going internally, things that are happening, a lot of pictures. You want to create a lot of activity on your Facebook page, and you want to make it really, as far as educational and informative, is what you want to pull out. That's the direction you want to go with that. All right, what do you got, Corey?
These guys are cracking me up. No, I'm just looking at the Twitter feed.
All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping this down now. So if you've got some final questions, ask. And we promise the next one's going to be even better, because we'll have this all organized out, because we're trying to use Google Hangouts as what we want to do, because we're broadcasting live. So we have people that are watching it on our website, people that are watching it on YouTube and Google Plus and all that. So if you've got questions, tweet those questions as we're wrapping it up. But what I want you to do is I want you to write it down, because we've got another webinar coming up. It's going to be December 6th at 2:33 p.m. Again, December 6th, 2:33 p.m. I'm going to do it with Jamie from Perk, which is formerly Tri Auto. And we're going to talk about, as far as you notice that what's coming up here, 7 things that you can do to make sure you close your year strong. So again, that's December 6th, 2:33 p.m. And so definitely sign up for that. The link will be up on our website later on today. Right, Dan? Sure. Okay, awesome. So the link will be on our website later on today for you to sign up, and we'll change the structure to make sure that you're here. But if you want 7 ways that you can actually close the year strong, I'm going to have Jamie on the call, and we're going to do it, and we're going to roll. So, Cory, Mr. Mosley, what do you got as far as on closing things up here?
Thank you. Shout out to everybody on Twitter. Thank you to Ziegler for the private messages.
I know I couldn't even read them. He was
pointing out every time I put my tea down. The camera switched on me. But thank you for everybody who participated. The Twitter stream is great. We're working out a few things. We're going to do more of these. I've got a webinar coming up December 5th, the day before. But this is Paul's thing, so you'll hear about mine off.
Well, where is it? Tell me about your webinar.
Well, we're doing an end of the year thing too. So T-minus 25 days left in the business year. What you can do to close your year strong.
Well, no, that'd be good. I mean, because everybody knows me as the marketing, the digital guy. You're the process guy. So no, I think that's excellent.
Yes. Well, and I'm sure I will bust in on your December 6th one too, since I'll be standing there in your office.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Cory's coming to visit. We're hanging out. In case you guys didn't know, Cory and I are having a bromance.
Oh God, I didn't say all that. All right, I've got a call to jump on in 10 minutes, so I got to run.
All right, I got 2 last things. As far as if you guys want to talk to us about search engine marketing, give us a call, 518-631-5505. Or I'd really love it as far as if you're interested in looking at websites, we can show you our brand new platform of websites. So give us a call, 518-631-5505. And then on the screen is Cory and my information. So if you'd like to talk to either one of us, give Cory a call at 877-667-5398 or tweet him. And the same thing goes for us. You can give us a call or you can tweet us. I really appreciate you guys taking your Friday to hang out with Cory and I. And I hope it was helpful, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, buddy.